So we're here to talk about Evil Dead, Necronomicon from Evil Dead 2. This was made by Trick or Treat Studios. I believe it was announced last year for 2019. They announced a whole new line of props and masks and etc. All the stuff that they like to make. They announced it. They did pre-orders. Pre-orders went live. A lot of people pre-ordered it. Pre-orders tapped out, I think, within like a very short time. And then it got delayed. It got delayed and delayed. It wasn't until I want to say this month. I want to say August of 2020 is when people finally got their pre-orders sent to them. I did not pre-order it. I actually scored it just on a whim. After it came out, I started seeing YouTube videos about it, reviews about it. No one had it, like, at all. It was sold out pretty much everywhere. Trick or Treat Studios website said it's on back order until next Halloween. On a whim, I found it randomly at HalloweenCostumes.com, and I ordered it with a coupon. Got it for 20% off. It showed up at my door like 3 or 4 days later. So we're here to talk about the book of The Dead by Trick or Treat Studios. First impressions were not good. A lot of people don't like what they did to this thing. Trick or Treat Studios lately have been kind of weird, kind of iffy about their masks, their props, and stuff like that. Goes back to the Michael Myers 40th mask. That was a complete disaster, if you want to have a fan's point of view, as well as a million of other people's point of view as well. This was closer. When it came out of the box, it looked nothing like this. I want to make that very, very clear. It looked nothing like this at all. It looked more like an office binder, which is argued because, yes, it was kind of triangular in the film of Evil Dead 2, but also every scene that you saw the book in that film, the book was slightly different shape and different size and everything because of, well, it's a low-budget horror film. What do you expect? We're going to talk about the book, and then I'm going to tell you how to make it way better for practically nothing and make it even more better just spending like 20 bucks in your pocket. I didn't do anything on the outside of the book or the back side or anything. Yes, it has pages. It has many, many pages. I think 36 pages, but they're double-sided, so it's not actual 36 pages. I think there's like 18 or 19 pages in total. The pages themselves, they're great. The artwork is awesome. The artwork is really, really good, actually. On the back of the book, the last page, they did get credit to Tom Sullivan, who did the original Evil Dead 2 book. Yeah, it says right here, based on the work of Tom Sullivan. It's pretty cool, the last page. It's you can actually read that. Pages are a thick, very, very thick paper. Very, very well done. Fortunately, if you watch other people looking at this book, the pages were just way too clean. Way too clean. Too white. Too just, you know, the binding and everything was so straight and so perfect. For something that's been underground and found in a dig site thousands and thousands of years later, it's awfully clean. Like straight out of the library. So the book itself is made of latex. It's entirely coated in latex. It is cardboard. This is a costume book, keep that in mind. It's just cardboard and latex. I just wish that they could have done more with the production value. You know, they used to be so praised of their fandom and their detail of all their stuff. But now they've been kind of slacking. And a lot of fans, much like this item, much like a lot of the masks, they're taking it upon their own hands to just redo them and make them even better, what they should look like to a fan. Looking more into it though, I wondered if anyone modded it, or maybe replaced the pages, or maybe they did some work to it, maybe repainted it. Looking more and more into it, Facebook occurred. There's a couple Trick or Treat Studios fans page that I belong to, and a lot of people were talking about the book, and one guy modded it. One guy did exactly what I do to it now, and I questioned, well, how did he do that? I want to do that. So he actually recommended in the comments, check out the page on Facebook called Knights of Samaria. So I sent an invite and see if I can join the page, and which I did, and wow, what a huge help those guys are. Posting pictures of pages, and they do their own custom pages. If you want, you can order pages from them, but there's a whole part of the group where they talk about the Trick or Treat Studios Necronomicon and how to make it better. I watched the whole 2.5 hour live stream that they did, which is saved on that page if you want to go check it out. Definitely visit their page. Give them credit where credit's due, because those guys are awesome. They kick ass. They showed me everything that I did to my book, and I couldn't thank them enough for it because it's amazing now. Also, a huge group of Evil Dead fans. I mean, they build chainsaws, they build the Power Glove, they build all kinds of props and costumes. They also have a sister page called Ghost Beaters. They specialize more of the face of the book, when the Knights of Samaria specializes in the pages of the book. So if you want to really go all out with your Trick or Treat Studios book, definitely hit up those 2 pages and get some advice, get some tips, and get some tricks of those guys' sleeves, because those guys are awesome. Alright, so you have your Trick or Treat Studios book. You're unhappy with it. Okay, how do I make it better? Well, I'm going to show you the first stage of making it better, completely free. No tools, nothing required, just your bare hands. This book is made of entirely latex and cardboard with paper pages in the middle. That's it. That's all that this book is made out of. First thing you want to do is roll the spine of the book. This is the spine of the book, where the pages sit and everything. And how do you roll the spine? Well, you use your hands. You cup the book like this in your palms, and you just start rolling it like this. And what I'm doing right here is putting the book in my palms, rolling it. As I'm rolling it, the front and the back of the book is doing this. Don't do it too hard, don't force it, because you're going to get a V shape on the spine. You want to avoid that at all times. If you do it slowly, little by little, apply pressure where you think it should be applied, and you will get a perfect C shape, much like this. And that's how you roll the spine. That is it. No tools, no really talent or effort required. Just about 5 minutes of moving cardboard and latex. And it stays that way. It's never flattened up again. It's been like that since I did it, and that's all you have to do. Step 2, the pages. The pages will not look like this when you first get it. The pages are actually quite flat and quite thin. That's what makes the book so empty looking. And actually the book sits like this when you first get it, with barely anything in it. You could see right through it actually when you first get the book. To fix that, I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, I already did my pages, so I'm going to show you how to do it on a piece of paper. Let's say this is actually pretty much how the pages look when you first get your book. I'm not kidding. It's just much thicker. This is just computer paper. How do you wrinkle your pages to make them look used and old and thicker, make the book look much better? Well, the way that you're going to wrinkle the pages is wrinkle them in areas where you think the pages would wrinkle in time and in use. You are not going to go side by side. You're not going to do any accordion. So let's say this is the binding of the book, part of the page that you're never going to touch because it's in the book. Let's say the page is sticking out this way. So you're going to take this corner and this corner, you're going to go diagonally towards the center of the page. I know it's scary, but you're going to want to do this. You're not going to hurt it. You're going to take one page with one hand, and you're going to, and then let go. Do this corner, the same thing. Go into the center of the page. That already, those wrinkles are awesome. After you wrinkle it, straighten it, pull it away, make it more like a page again. Just from doing that, it's going to give you lift. It's going to fill up the book. If you do this to every single page of the book, I guarantee you the book is going to fill up. The book is going to look very thick, as in there's 4 times more pages than what there really is in there. If you want to, do it again. That's it. Doing the other side. That's it. And as I pull away, I press down and I straighten it. Now it looks more like that. If you want to, go from top and angle. So remember, this is the binding of the book. So top, bottom, just a little bit. And that's it, man. That's all you're going to do. Doing that to every single page that's in the book, trust me, it's going to make a huge difference. You're not going to hurt the page either. You're not going to hurt the artwork. You're not going to hurt anything. And quite frankly, if you know how to crinkle a paper, it's not going to rip. Remember how you turned a page in the book. You grab it by the corners, you grab it by the edge, even licking your fingers and you turn. No one grabs the center of a page to turn it. No one does that. The only way that a book would get weathered and old is if it was being used. So where would a page be touched? Where would a page be worked on? Just go from that. Do it to every single page of the book, and literally that's it. Alright, so you rolled and rounded your spine of your book. Cool. You wrinkled each page. Cool. That's it. That's really how you get this shape. This is how it looks. This is the thickness of the book. And I mean, everything about it, it makes a night and day difference. I'm telling you. That's it. You can call it a day. That's it. That's all you have to do. Or you can keep going. My pages are much, much darker, much more dirty and burnt looking, actually. Almost like it's very, very ancient, thousands of years old. How I achieved that? What did I use? A lot of people like to use coffee and tea. They soak the pages and they dry them and all that stuff. People will argue saying that's the best method. I disagree. The best thing you can ever use is this stuff right here. This is Rust-Oleum wood stainer. The specific color of this is golden oak. I got this at Michael's craft store. You can get this at Michael's. I'm told you can find it at Walmart. You can find it at Target. You can find it at Hobby Lobby. You can find it pretty much everywhere except for, I haven't been able to find it at Lowe's or Home Depot, so don't even bother trying that place. But this stuff is awesome. This is a wood stainer. You don't want to use paint. Avoid paint, because paint will just simply repaint something. A stainer is a syrupy liquid that's supposed to stain something, which means when you put this on the page, it will still keep the writing on the page. That's very, very important. So please do not use paint or even watered down paint. I've seen people water down paint and they do the same method that I used on my pages. It's so dark you cannot read them. You cannot even make out the art, and you're going to miss out on all those details. So I highly recommend using wood stainer. Specifically this one, by far the best method that I've seen. Yes, there are different colors of wood stainer. Even this specific brand, there's different colors. It's darker, there's lighter. Experiment, play around with it, of course. I've only used this one though, because I think it looks phenomenal. I think it looks the best. Alright, so how do you apply this? Well, I used a sponge. Don't use a brush. Don't use anything that's going to make it clean and straight and, artistic. No, this is weathering. This is an old book. It's not supposed to look clean. Use a craft sponge. I don't have one with me because I threw it out after I did the book, so I do apologize. But a craft sponge or a dish sponge, a kitchen sponge, any type of sponge will work. The way that I did it and the way that it was shown to me, if this is your page, let's say this is the binding of the book, you got to remember, the binding of the book is the toughest part because that's where everything's sealed together. No one's touching that. No one's using that to turn the pages. Nothing's really even getting in there besides like moisture or maybe some dirt. Don't do the binding of the page. Draw a line, top, side, bottom. That's it. Top, side, bottom. And then use a sponge and then pat it in. Start from the edges, pat it in. Once you start from the edges, you get closer towards the center. And then you get to the center, you do a little bit circle movements. You just do it to the point where it looks dirtier and it looks older. That's it. That's all you have to do. I did it to every single page of my book, both front and back. And how do you dry it? Well, a lot of people like to use, they just let it sit on the table, let it dry naturally. This stuff dries, it says in 1 hour. I'm impatient. I don't have an hour every page. That would be 36 hours of just doing this stuff before I even get to the nitty-gritty stuff. So, yeah. A lot of people like to use a heat gun. Heat guns to me are hit or miss. This is paper. Remember that, it is paper. So a heat gun, heat, paper, think about that. People have been wildly known online to make the mistake of using too much of the heat gun, and it is fried the book. I use this. This is just a personal fan. I live in Florida. We have hurricanes. These are awesome. I just use this on every single page that I did. Blow on it with your mouth or use this, doesn't matter. Or let it dry, it's up to you. It took me the longest time using the wood stainer on the pages, definitely, because each time you do it, you let it dry a little bit. But it definitely works. I highly recommend doing that. That's how you achieve that yellowness to it. That ancient skin paper. Because remember, this book was bound on human flesh. So make it look like human flesh. Alright, so you did your wood stainer. Your pages are now yellowed. They look very, very yellow, much like mine. What's next? Well, the last trick of the book. This. Now, this is the face of the book. Once you open it, this is not a page. You want to hide this as much as you can because this is just a straight line. It looks like a factory manufactured book. Yes, you're not really going to avoid that too much unless you could probably use paint, you could probably use other stuff. But you want to hide this. All this dirt and this mildew looking stuff. I used it on some of the corners of the page because that's where your fingers would grab to turn the page. In some cases, I used a bit heavier amount, much like down here as well. One page, where the hell was it? These two specific pages, I did the most of that technique. I really darkened the edges, and I really even went inside here and the bottoms of the page here. You know, you gotta remember, this is the Book of the Dead. If it's underground, there's dirt, there's mildew, there's moisture. It's going to be moldy, it's going to be gross. When you see this, you don't even want to touch it. You just want to you want to avoid it. That's what you want to achieve with this. How do I achieve that? How do I do that? There's only one solution that I've found and everyone else is using, so I used it too. Good old black shoe polish. Now the shoe polish is really tricky because it dries really fast on paper. It's just simply like a dry erase marker almost. You dab it on the page and then you take your sponge and you start dabbing instantly. The way that it did this and the way that I achieved that look was that I had to work really fast against the dry time of the shoe polish, which is in your favor because it dries really quick, therefore you're not waiting all day for it to dry to work on the next page. But basically I would, let's say this cap was off, I would dab, and then in my next hand, I would take the sponge and I would start working it in. Much like the wood stainer, start with the edges of the page, start with the corners of the page, and then throw very little in the middle, very little in the spine. Like I said, a couple pages I went a little heavier than usual. This page specifically, I did a lot in the middle here, only because I wanted to simulate if moisture from the bottom of the book was being seeped into the pages. You have to think like that when you're weathering this type of stuff. Front and the last page, I just went to town because you really want to hide that. Like I said, you really want to hide that last page and to not make it look so square and so manufactured. The very front cover, that was a mixture of the two. I mixed the black shoe polish with the wood stainer. I did the wood stainer first, obviously. Then I did the black shoe polish. I went on the edges and the sides here, and then I worked my way into the center of the book, very little, with a sponge. And then after that was dry and that was done, I went over the whole thing again with another layer of wood stainer. And that's how I achieved a lot of the heavier areas. Stuff like this, that's just the natural moisture of the liquid of the shoe polish and stuff, which is a little whiter in some areas. That's because that's really good because you want that because it looks like mildew. It looks like moisture was in there. But you got to realize there's something too. As you start from the first page of the book, go heavy. I mean, this is a very iconic page to Evil Dead, so I didn't want to go too heavy with this because you have to make it known this is a very, very iconic page. The next page, still pretty heavy, but nowhere near as the first page. And then as I worked my way into closer and closer towards the middle of the book, I did less and less weathering, less and less of both the wood stainer and the shoe polish, because you got to remember, if any type of moisture or if any type of dirt is going to get on this thing, it'll be the front of the book or the back of the book. That's where it would start, and then it would seep into the pages towards the middle just through time. So don't go crazy on every single page, because it wouldn't really make sense to a dirty book. You rounded the spine, you wrinkled the pages, you hit it with some wood stainer on the pages, and you hit it with a little bit of the black shoe polish on the pages. What else is there to do? Well, unfortunately, this is where I stopped, because I'm actually quite happy with how the book looks, and that's exactly how mine looks right now. The next step that you could take is blood. If you remember, there are some drops of blood within the films and some of the pages, especially on the Ash vs. Evil Dead show. This is not the book from that show, though. Keep that in mind. This is from Evil Dead 2, so if you want to keep it authentic to Evil Dead 2, look at the pages, look at Google Images to see the pages. Some of them have blood stains, some of them don't. To achieve that, you're just going to mix your choice of red paint, mix it with some water, get a toothbrush or a liquid dropper, and you're just going to drop little dabs on the pages. Basically, you're going to hold the book open, you're going to drop little dabs across the page, and you're going to let it sit there and dry until it's completely dry. And that's how you're going to achieve those watermarked blood drops, I guess if you want to call them. But there you go. That's how you weather and redo your entire Trick or Treat Studios book of the Dead. I didn't do anything to the face. I didn't do anything to the outside of the book at all. A lot of people are re-sculpting the face. I know some of the guys over at Ghost Beaters and Knights of Samaria, they're redoing the cover of the face of these books, redoing pretty much the whole outside of these books as far as my knowledge. A lot of other people are now starting to resculpt the face. I think it's fine. I mean, the only bummer is that it's pretty flat. The lips of the face and the eyes are raised much higher than that in the movie book, but I think it's fine because you're never looking at it like this. It's usually on a shelf or displayed somewhere like this. So, I mean, I'm not probably going to go that far with it. I think it's perfectly fine. It's a little brown. I would like it a little bit more dark and gray, how it looked in the movie. That can actually be easily done just from dusting. But other than that, I mean, that's all you're going to want to do to the book. I mean, this is a great piece. This is a fantastic book. It's a fantastic prop. I mean, like I said, if you're a horror fan, if you're just a fan of props or a fan of independent films, everyone's going to know what this is when you show it to them. And honestly, I mean, a book at this price, I mean, under $100 to get this thing. And I spent maybe just under $20 in the shoe polish and wood stainer stuff to take it beyond the expectations of how the book should look. That's still a huge achievement compared to other books that have been around for years by other Necronomicon makers and prop builders who charge $300, $400, $500 for replica books with pages and with even movie. I mean, this page right here, this is a classic. This is in every single Evil Dead movie. I mean, this page, I mean, God knows how many people have these tattooed on their bodies. You're going to be paying a lot more money for something professionally done or done by an artist or done by a prop maker when, in my opinion, you should just do it on your own. Do it yourself. I just showed you how to do it. It's really, really easy. Half the work you don't even have to pay for. You just do it with your bare hands. No tools required. I think it's very achievable, and I'm shocked that no one else is really making a video like this showing you how to do it. It's really, really easy. I made this video personally because no one else is explaining this, and I had to go deep into the realms of Facebook, which could be just as scary as the Book of the Dead, let me tell you. That's where I discovered the Knights of Samaria page, and those guys on there kick ass. That's how I discovered how to do all these techniques. They walk you through it, they show you on that page. They showed me. I learned it in a weekend, and then I just decided to say the hell with it one night and put it together and did it, and I am damn proud and very, very happy with how it came out and how I achieved it. Just do it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And this is a fun little project, fun little hobby to do. And I recommend it to anyone. So do it. Just do it. So that's it. That's my Necronomicon, Trick or Treat Studios. Great book. Definitely pick it up. As if you can read it or something. A must-have for any horror fan. A must-have for any prop collector. Do what I did to it, and you're gonna love it 1,000 times more. Thanks for watching, and like, subscribe, all that. Bye.